instructor with the Princeton Review, and this is going to be a video about GMAT data sufficiency and how it works. So I think people get really stressed and worried about the data sufficiency questions when they first start studying for the GMAT, and that makes sense. They're completely unfamiliar, they don't exist anywhere else in the known universe other than on the GMAT, and they run counter to a lot of what we're used to with math questions. We're used to sort of taking for granted that we've been given all the information and we just need to solve. But with data sufficiency, the task is actually quite different. The point here is not to solve, it's to answer the question, could I solve this if I wanted to? So if we look at the instructions, it says, each of the data sufficiency problems consists of a question and two statements, labeled 1 and 2, in which certain data are given. You have to decide whether the data given in the statements are sufficient to answer the question. So all you're trying to say is, could I solve this with this amount of information? And you go based on that and other day-to-day facts that you're expected to know, like the number of days in a month, or what counterclockwise means. Now, the thing about data sufficiency is that the answer choices never change. What we've listed here as A is what A will always be, and ditto for B, C, D, and E. So let's go through what those answer choices represent. So A is if statement 1 is sufficient. In other words, it gives you all the information that you need. Statement 1 would allow you to solve the problem, but statement 2 is insufficient, it's useless. Answer choice B is the reverse. In answer choice B, statement 1 is not enough information to solve, but statement 2 gives you everything you need to solve the problem. In C, individually, neither statement works. You don't have enough information with them individually, but combined, now you can solve it. Now you've got enough info. With D, statement 1 alone would work, and statement 2 alone would work. In other words, you've got twice as much information as you need there. In E, individually, 1 is no good, 2 is no good, and in combination, they're still no good, and you need some other outside information in order to be able to solve. So keeping these answer choice options in mind, we'll look at a basic data sufficiency question. So this question is asking us for the value of A. And so what we're trying to answer is not actually what is the value of A, but if I wanted to, could I solve for A? So starting with statement 1. Statement 1 says 7A plus 2B equals 16. Well, that on its own would not be a sufficient amount of information because we've only got one equation and two variables. And if I have two variables, I need to have the same number of equations. I need to have two equations. I don't know what B is here, so how could I solve for A? So if statement 1 is insufficient, if we look at our answer choice options, the ones where that's the case would be B, C, or E. So those are the answer choice options that are still in the mix for us here. Because with A or D, statement 1 is sufficient, and we've already established that here statement 1 isn't. Okay, then we look at statement 2 on its own, ignoring everything from statement 1. Statement 2 says 5B equals 22 minus 3A. Well, the same logic applies here. I've got two variables, but only one equation if I'm looking at statement 2 by itself. I don't know B, so how would I solve for A? So again, statement 2 on its own is insufficient. So we were already down to either B, C, or E. If we look at those options, B doesn't work because in B, statement 2 is sufficient, and we've established that it's insufficient. So B's out. C could work, and E could work. The question now for us becomes, if I combine the equations, do I have enough information or not? So if I put these two equations together, well, now I have two equations and two variables. So that should be good. Now I want to be extra careful and make sure that these two equations aren't actually multiples of each other. So what I'm going to do is rewrite the second equation so that it's in the same order as the first. So if I do that, if I move the 3A to the other side, I end up with 3A plus 5B equals 22, which is clearly a very different equation than that one. So we have two distinct equations and two variables. That is a sufficient amount of information. So because the two equations in combination are sufficient, that would be, between these two options, that would be answer choice C. And so that'd be what we pick. Now what I want to point out is at no point do we solve for A. The task here is not actually to answer the question. The task is to determine when we have enough information to answer that question. So don't waste time solving for A. The clock's ticking. You've got a lot of other questions to get through on the quant section. You're done as soon as you've decided, yes, these do give me enough information, or no, they don't.